1948. That's when I was assigned to cover Berlin again. Although the war was only 3 years ago and the city was still occupied and cut up like a pie, it had lifted its head and begun to walk. Berliners could find jobs, but they had to build places to live and, like the rest of the world, suffered shortages and post-war troubles. But the people lived in comparative peace. The ceaseless effort of the Office of Military Government, U.S., was showing results. I was impressed with factories manufacturing for peace, subways taking people to work, and trolleys taking them home. Places of amusement had crowds. Hospitals had milk for new babies. There was even music in the park. Everyone forgot or took for granted freight, electricity, roads, victuals. Until June 1948, when suddenly the trains stopped. For technical difficulties, traffic between Berlin and the western zones was banned. Canceled timetables, dead trains, walls of words, and orders blockaded the city. The blockade even cut electric power and put out 75% of the lights. People used candles if they could find them. Movement in and out of the city stopped. Factories now manufactured hunger and fear. Vegetables were planted in the parks and trading was more brisk in the alleys. Berlin no longer had prize fights or milk. In addition to 2.5 million Germans, the same blockade affected 5,000 Frenchmen, 10,000 Englishmen, and 10,000 Americans. This crisis was met.
The same morning the train stopped, they woke me up, early. I had to fly a special run from Rhine, Maine to Berlin with high-priority military stuff. Nobody said that me and my old C-47 were starting Operation Vittles. I'd have shaved. Back in '45, Western cities were connected with Berlin by corridors in the air, sufficiently wide and high for normal traffic. They gave Berlin easy access to the western zones. But my one C-47 couldn't feed all Berlin, a city bigger than Philadelphia.
European Air Transport Service had initials which strangely matched the occasion. EATS. Since General Clay, U.S. military governor of Germany, didn't have enough planes to haul the supplies piling up outside the starving metropolis, he asked for help. This could have been any city, anywhere. But notorious German weather tried to interrupt the rescue. Although record rains fell that first month, General LeMay's Coal and Feed Company increased victuals tonnage with every flight.
We flew in weather. I couldn't see my own fans turn over. But the 24-hour all-weather flying in crowded corridors was terrific training. Some of my buddies who bombed Berlin a short time ago were risking their lives again, this time to keep the same city alive. Bad visibility caused crashes. Fortunately, all 4 crew members were able to walk away from this one and fly more victuals. And the coal they carried was used in Berlin.
The airlift continued even as Berlin's mayor led the German assemblage in paying respect to American flyers who helped feed the city. But with all this, the city was eating into its reserve. In the operations were British Sunderlands, which brought 4-ton cargoes to Berlin Lakes. Their barges helped us over the blockade. Adding the Royal Air Force Station at Fossburg to the lift gave the British Yorks, Lancasters, and our own C-54s another victuals terminal only 50 flying minutes from Berlin. German kids often thank Group Captain Yard and his RAF, as well as General LeMay's flyboys. We worked together in peace, as in war. The Air Force planned the Berlin airlift, and the President approved. Then Headquarters Air Force directed MATS, Military Air Transport Service, to put into effect the full Berlin airlift plan. The spectacular Air Force Navy transport operation was shown to Air Force leaders, the Secretary of the Air Force, Symington, and Air Force Chief of Staff, General Vandenberg. General Tunner, commander of the Airlift Task Force, briefed the visitors.
Yep, they looked us over. The C-54 Skymasters from the Pacific, from the Caribbean, from the United States and Alaska. At far-flung bases, Air Force crews had been alerted. C-54s can't move without us throttle jockeys. We flew the sturdy troop carriers, each able to lift 10 tons of coal and food in peacetime, as carefully as it carried 55 wounded men in wartime. We reported promptly, and our country was proud of its Air Force on a mission of mercy and international significance. Some of us came to Frankfurt in the American zone to the Air Force base called Rhine-Main. You know, those trucks were waiting for us. Transportation Corps did a colossal job. We got down in a hurry to give them a lift. Rhine-Main looked like a certain Pacific beach during the war. Only this stuff was much more organized. Somehow it all went into our airplanes. Biggest item was coal for the utilities. It was packed in GI barracks bags. Second biggest item was made into pumpernickel, Schultzstangel, and Kuchen. We call it bread. Then medicines. Every ounce of cargo was checked. Of course, there was GI soap for the GIs, and milk for the innocent sufferers of every disaster, the kids.
Rigid inspection paid dividend, kept maximum number of ships on the job, saved men and equipment, trained ground units. Streamlined maintenance for the lift was set up in Germany, England, and in Texas, USA.
And from all the Gulf and East Coast ports, the U.S. Navy's Sea Lift, the ocean-borne leg of the Berlin airlift, brought approximately 12 million gallons of aviation fuel to Germany every month. We carried enough gas for the trip to Tempelhof and return. One of our gang, Lieutenant Halverson, loved the small fry. He instituted Little Vittles. It wasn't much, just candy bars on tiny handkerchief parachutes dropped to the Berlin kids. A great guy. We all gave Little Vittles candy and handkerchiefs. Good flying, chum. Like the rest of us, the tower gave Halverson a piece of sky.
Clever stacking gave breathing room. Each plane got an altitude and a moving block of space. 40 to 50 airplanes were crowded in the narrow air bridge. Careful timing, controlled by the most modern communications facilities, made the airlift work.
Yeah, that's how we could fly 3 round trips a day and supply food and fuel to a city of 2.5 million with a handful of planes. And even supply the kids who waited on a certain hill for Little Vittles.